up, everyone? It is your girl Gel Beauty 87 here, aka Grace, and today we are here to do a video on the male Thompson retro glam palette. I guess that's what you call it, or the male bundle. If you all remember, she was upset about the way Natasha Denona came out with the retro mini palette, and then when the actual retro palette came out, it wasn't any of what anyone was expecting. So she, you know, came out with her own version of it. So Sydney Grace, as of Sunday, put out male's version of the retro glam palette. I believe there's 20 shades in it. Yeah, there's 20 shades in male's palette. I think that I forgot how many shades come in the mini palettes. My retro mini palette is over there, and I'm too lazy to get up and get it. So but yeah, so I bought the bundle. Here's what it looks like if anyone's curious. So we're gonna put the colors together in the palette the way Mel has them set up here and swatched on her lovely daughter's arm, and then we're gonna do an eye look. So if you're curious what's on my eyes right now, I have on the what palette? I have on the Glam Light X Barbie palette. So that's the palette I have on my eyes right now. But here are all 20 of my singles. I was a huge Mel Thompson fan, like a lot of people in the community, and felt like her, like, why didn't you just make a bigger version like you normally do? Like, why did we have to go make this whole production, do all this? I even brought my original Tiny Marvels palette with me. This was the first one that they came out with when Mel was still alive. So here's what it looks like on the inside. So I wanted to see if the palette that she made herself was going to be somewhat similar to the retro palette she made. That's another reason I brought the palette. So let me zoom y'all somewhat in so it'll be easier to post. I'm gonna go off camera, set all of them up in the order in which we see here, then I'll come back and show them side by side, and then I'll show them by the retro mini palette, and then when my retro glam palette shows up Friday, because I got my notification from her website saying it'll show up Friday, I will show it alongside this as well. And I'm thinking we could actually do a battle of the in the Natasha Denona video, so I hope you prepare for a long video, because it's like I want to see how Mel's palette is going to look against the singles now, and then I'm going to do a separate video on this actual eyeshadow palette alongside the retro palette and a battle of the. So it's like I'm thinking I'll just do the battle of the and that when they get here, and this will just be a video comparing Mel's palette to the retro palette she came out with, and we might do a little battle of the in this video with the retro mini palette alongside her single. So I'm thinking we can do that instead, and that way I don't have to make a super extended long video like I've been doing lately for these things. So I'm gonna go put them all in my little magnetic palette here, and I'll be right back. Okay, girl? Okay, y'all, so I'm back. I've made my palette. So here is what Mel's palette looks like. She gave us 5 extra shades, because in the mini what do you call it, the in the midi retro glam, this it only has 15, because the retro has 15. So here it is. I'll show it alongside Mel's palette first off. So here is Mel's palette versus it. So see, Mel's palette has some of these type of shades, if you will. So there are some shades in here. There's some in Mel's palette, and I want to make sure I notice that. So some of the tones in there she just liked as a general rule, and that's why they're in there, but some of them fit the theme, because I'm going to show you the retro palette now, the mini one. So here's the retro mini palette alongside the one Mel made. As you can see, Mel's has a little bit more color and variation, but obviously she had more shades to choose from, so she made a 20-pan palette, and this is only a 5-pan. So I'll be interested to see what they look like together. So I'm going to swatch some of the shades that I feel like are similar, just to see if they're going to be similar or not. I have my baby wipes on hand, so that way I don't have to worry about not being able to swatch again after a certain time and pause in the video and all that. So I'm going to take the shade Bravo, I believe it's called. Yeah, I'm going to take the shade Bravo and swatch it alongside the shade in the middle of the palette. So we're doing Sydney Grace first, and then we'll do Bravo, and then we'll do Natasha second, just to see if the colors are similar or not. I feel like the Sydney Grace one is a tad bit deeper, which would be better for people my skin tone. So this is the Sydney Grace one right here, and this is the middle shade in the retro mini palette. So it's just like interesting there. So I'll probably put this clip in the Natasha Denona video too, to save us some time. But my battery's dying, so I gotta come back as usual, because it just can't act right. 5 minutes to sit down, it's gotta die, honey. Okay, y'all, so next we're going to the lighter pink shade. So Mel has like 2 or 3 different lighter pink shades, so I'm trying to figure out which one to swatch that I feel will look best. Let's see. I'm thinking The shade is another shade in the first row. It's called Peyton's Puppies or Peyton's Puppy. So I'm gonna swatch that one first out of Mel's palette. It's kind of light, so I'm thinking I should swatch like all the ones in her palette that might match this shade. Since she's got like 3 or 4, I'm just like, So I'm gonna take another shade. So Peyton's Puppy is the first one I swatched, and I'm gonna swatch San Jose. So go ahead and swatch that one. It's pretty light as well. And then there's one more shade because she gave us a variation of different shades. I don't think this one is gonna be perfect, but I mean, it's on the lighter end, and Retro Glam seems to be on the lighter end, so I feel like it'd be best to swatch it as well. This shade is called Fairy Tale. So I'm gonna take Fairy Tale now and swatch it real quick, and then we'll swatch Natasha's palette. So I hope you remember what I said to me, because I already forgot. I'm kidding. Or am I? I'll never. Okay, so now we're gonna swatch the shade next to this one, this very light bright pink right here, number 4, because I'm pretty sure they don't have names, or maybe they do. Oh, I'm sorry, they do have names, excuse me. And we can see which one it looks like best. So remember, it's Peyton's Puppy, Fairy Tale, and this third one, or is the third one Fairy Tale? And then here's the last one from the Natasha Denona palette. So all 3 of these are from Mel's palette, and this is from Natasha Denona's. Again, I feel like it's really close, like this first one and this one, like I thought they would be, are pretty similar. So how you see how light those are on my skin tone? So it's like I could use these as outer V shades and just pat this all over the lid and pick like one of the neutral tones that Mel put in the palette to like dust over everything if I didn't want to bring the pink very high up. But you know, that's just that. Now we're gonna get into some of the shimmers. Now I feel like the shimmers she chose don't necessarily coincide with the ones in this palette, or to a certain degree they don't. Maybe it's just me, but there's 2 pinks, and I feel like the Sydney Grace ones aren't gonna give us that sparkle that these are, so just keep that in mind. And I don't really see any like pinks like in this palette, so I don't think we're gonna be able to swatch the pinks. I mean, I can, but I'd be swatching next to more bronzes or more deeper green shades. So I'm trying to start off with the green one that I feel like I can find a better match for, and then we'll go into the pink ones, because she just has a lot of pink mattes, and then she has a really deep pink shade, but none of these lighter tones that Natasha initially picked with this palette. So I swatched the only green shimmer in this palette that I feel like will work with Natasha's. I'm gonna swatch another one too though, just in case. Even though I feel like they're not gonna match, but you know, it's here, we're here, everyone's here, y'all know the drill. So I swatched Keep It Fun first. Remember the names? Because I will not. There's 20 shades in this palette, girl. My attention span on the names of things is short. And then the shade Commission, we're gonna swatch that. So we swatched Keep It Fun and Commission in Mel's palette. And then we will swatch the only green shade in the mini palette for now, just so you can have an idea of what these colors are looking like. So let's go into Natasha's mini retro now and swatch this. So interesting, because it's giving a more silverish greenish gunmetal as opposed to a green. So here's what they look like. So this is Keeping It Fun, the other one I told y'all about, and this is the shade from Natasha. So again, we're seeing like Mel's vision was more of a floral greenish pink, or I call AKA vibes, if you know that sorority vibes, because that's the vibes that Mel's palette is giving me, whereas Natasha with this silver and then like these light pinks or whatever, it's not necessarily giving what Mel's palette is giving. I actually like what Mel's palette is giving a little bit more. I found a really light palish silvery type pink that we can swatch for one of the pinks in Natasha's palette, even though I know it's not necessarily going to work, but I feel like Mel's pink is more icy. But again, we're here, you're here, we're all here, so we can just go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and swatch that. Let's start with Mel's palette. Take that shade. Oh yeah, this is definitely a super icy shade. Like, it's not giving any of what Natasha is giving at all. It's like super starky silvery with like a hint of like lilac and like, I guess, like baby pink tone. That's the best way I can think of to describe it. And then Natasha's over here with the classic like soft peachy pink. So yeah, they are like worlds apart. It's a bronze shade here. I'm thinking about swatching alongside of this too, just so you all can get a sense of what I'm talking about, because I feel like none of the shades are gonna match too well. That one matches a little bit well than I thought it was. So I feel like this is more of a shifting gold to pinkish shade. What is the name of that shade? I'm sorry, I didn't look at the name of that one. But the silvering one I call is aimed high. So this one is blushed right here. This one is aimed high. Both of these are from Mel's palette right here. And then this is the pinkyish peach gold shade from Natasha's Retro Mini palette. So these are all the shades I have that I feel like look similar in the palette to Natasha's palette. I'll swatch the other pink shade alongside that blush shade in Mel's palette from the Retro palette, just to give you an idea of that. But I don't feel like any of them are looking really similar to anything that Mel has going on in her palette. So that's interesting. Yeah, see, this is the pink shade from Natasha's palette, and here is the shade from Mel's palette. As you can see, this gives more of that icy-ish, extra sparkly vibe off that this one gives, and this one is just giving more of a peachy pink gold in my personal opinion. So again, here are all the swatches on my hand of all the stuff. So I'll pause it if you need to take a picture or do whatever you need to do, and I'm trying to hold my hand where you can see all the colors. So there's that. Now I'm going to wipe all these off, and then we're going to swatch the stuff from Mel's original palette alongside these singles to see if any of those are similar, just in case you you know, already have her palette. I'm going to see what's similar in her palette to this palette. I was going to do the Retro palette, but I'm like, I feel like there's nothing really in the Retro palette that's similar, because as we know, the Retro palette is quite cooler. If anything, I feel like maybe the shade Glitz would be similar to it, but otherwise I don't feel like anything is. Psychedelic looks really nice as well though. Let me see, is that in this mini one? Okay, so none of the stuff from the mini one are in this big one. I don't feel like any of the tones in here pretty much match anything in that palette, besides maybe like this shade right here and maybe like this shade right here. But you know, I don't think it's that deep where we need to. Y'all can let me know down below if you want me to swatch those, and then I can swatch them in the video with the Retro Glam, because I'm going to include this footage in there as well. But it's like, if you'd like me to swatch any other stuff, let me know. So let me cut this off right here, and then we'll go into her palette separately, so then that way they won't be running together in the Natasha Denona video. Okay, y'all, so now this, like I showed y'all Mel's palette, I want to see if the Mantis shade is similar to the shade Honeydew in this palette. So let's see. I'm gonna swatch Mel's Mantis shade first, which I feel like is gonna be brighter. I love the shade Mantis. I think she said this is one of her favorite shades too. I really like it. Oh, so Honeydew is a little bit deeper and more minty than Mantis. As you can see, I feel like Mantis gives a little bit more of a neon color, which is, I feel like Honeydew gives more of a mint type color. So that's both of them side by side. So I just want you to see, if you didn't want to get it because you already have Mel's palette, but you still love and miss Mel and want to help support her family, I want you to see that, like, even though there are shades that look similar in the palettes, they're not the same. So you don't feel like, you know, you'd be buying repeats. That's the purpose of doing the swatches we're doing now. Let me see, what shade is this? So we're going to swatch the shade Honesty now alongside the shade Flutterby. So I'm going to do Flutterby first. It's more of a peachy-ish type shade. And then I feel like Honesty is more of a like muted peach, whereas I feel like Mel's Flutterby is more of a vibrant peach. So as you can see, again, Mel's shades are a little more vibrant and punchy, whereas I feel like the Sydney Grace original singles are a little more muted, if you will. But we all know Sydney Grace is more on the neutral end, and Mel did like to play in color, even though she did like neutral. So I'm feeling like all her shades are going to be a little more brighter and punchier. And if that's not what you prefer, then maybe you should just go ahead and get this bundle as opposed to her palette. Or get both if you so choose. I'm not trying to stop you from doing either. I'm just, you know, giving you options. So we're going to swatch Relax alongside Death Moth. So Death Moth, again, is another one of my favorite shades. I feel like it's a good transition shade for me, but it's a good deepening up shade for people of different tones. I feel like Mel always did an excellent job with stuff like that. Oh, y'all almost dropped like the thing. That's why you heard the tremble in my voice. Cause like, no, we cannot drop this. Okay, so this is Male's palette Death Moth, and this is Relax. As you can see, Relax is a little more cool tone and taupey. I feel Male's is a little more like on the like this, like, I don't know, caramely, a deep caramely brownish type shade, for lack of a better term. So as you can see, so far nothing we have swatched from Male's palette is the same as this palette. The closest thing would probably be the first two, but these you can clearly see a different undertone in both of them. But the good thing is, again, they're both cool tone. I'm a cool tone queen, so I'm excited about that. Let me see what else we got in here. I'm gonna swatch the shade. Let's get some shimmers up in here. We're gonna do Melody Hawk up against Blush. So let me swatch Melody Hawk. Get splashed. And y'all know I don't be doing swatches, so this is a big deal. So this is Melody Hawk and this is Blush. I feel like they would complement each other nicely, but again, the undertones still aren't the same. To me, this gives more of a corally peachish undertone, and to me this just gives like a peachy-ish, pinkish type undertone, or more orangish type undertone. So again, still nothing is looking the same, so just bear that in mind when you are thinking about purchasing, if you want to get both. I don't know if they have a bundle for Males and this. I am not 100% sure, so do not quote me because I don't know. Next, I'm going to take the shade Scarborough. Now, I know this is a shade that Sydney Grace already has, but I'm pretty sure it's not the same shade that's in this bundle that Male has. But I remember her saying when she came out in her video that this was a shade from them. She just, I think she named it something else instead of the name it already was. I think it was called Red something. Don't quote me, that was so long ago, or it feels like so long ago. So we're going to swatch this shade against Keep It Fun. Keep It Fun doesn't have a shift in it, from the best of my memory from swatching it earlier, so it's just going to be a green. As you can see, it's just a green, whereas Male's has that you know, that deep reddish brown to like green blue type shifts to it. So that's what they're looking like. Again, nothing is looking the same, which I'm loving. I'm here for it, here for all that. I don't think I have too many more to swatch against. I want to do the darker browns, and then the inner corner shades, they're not going to match either, because well, I'll do Fire Butts against one of these shades just to show you that they're not going to match. So we're going to do the shade Spider with a Y alongside Beyond. So Spider alongside Beyond. So Male's brown is already deeper and gives like more of a coffee bean brown just from what I'm seeing. Whereas the shade Beyond is giving more like a chocolate, a dark chocolate brown. This is Spider and this is Beyond. So yeah, nothing is looking the same. All the undertones are different in every way. And I feel like, if I remember correctly in her video, she was talking about how she tried to make sure she did that, and she only dubbed one shade because of the shade she really likes. And I really like the shade she chose that she picked to dub too, so it's like those are my type of shades. The last one we're gonna do, yeah, this is the last one we'll do. We're gonna do the shade Web alongside shade, what I think it's called Green Mint. Yeah, Green Mist. We're gonna do Web against Green Mist. I would do Fire Butts too, but I'm like, I don't know. Matter of fact, yeah, we'll do Web, Green Mist, and Fire Butts. Why not? Ooh, wait, you know what? I want to do Web against something else now. I'm sorry. So I'm gonna do Web up against, where is it? The one I tried to do with the lightest shade in the Natasha Denona Retro palette. We'll do that one. So that's Aim High. We're gonna do Web and Aim High. And then we'll do Fire Butts against Green Mist, and then I'm done with swatching all this. So I'll try to remember to pause the screen, but at the angle I'm swatching stuff, I don't know how well it's going to be for you to see. Because see, as you swatch, you know, like you change the angle of the way you swatch. So I might have to pause it. Y'all might have to pause it a couple times. I have to hold my arm a certain way a couple times so you get the pictures. But you know, I will if you don't mind doing it. So last is Fire Butts against Green Mist, and then we're done with this palette. So I'm trying to swatch lower so that way when I turn my arm you can still see. And here's Green Mist. I love shades like Green Mist, like minty, frosty, like green shimmers that go perfect at the inner corner. So here they are. This is Web right here, and this is Aim High, and this is Fire Butts and Green Mist. So like I said, I'll pause right here so you can look at these. You see, this is Scarborough. This is Keep It Fun. This is Spider with a Y. I forgot the name of this one, my apologies. This is Web. This is Aim High. This is Fire Butts, and this is Green Mist. So as you can see, none of them have the same undertone. Same with these. This is Blushed. What was this one called? This one is called Melody. So Metal Hawk. This one is Beyond. This one, wait, no, this isn't Beyond. I forgot the name of this one. And then this one is Death Moth. I remember most of the names of males though. I forgot the name of this one. This one is Fluttered By, and then this one is Mantis and Honeydew. So as you can see, none of them have the same undertone. So if you want to support males, it's definitely okay. And if you already have her palette, you'll see that you're getting none of the identical shades. So none of the shades in the Sydney Gray Squad that you buy to support males, husband and children is going to go to waste, because it's not like you're going to have any repeat shades. I literally just swatched the majority of shades that match with these and showed the palettes to you side by side so you can see that they don't match. So without further ado, we can get into the eye look with the, what is this, retro, the mini retro palette versus male's palette. I hope you all remember which ones was which. I'm going to swatch them on my arm off camera and try to remember to tell y'all the names before I start. But I'm going to do the retro mini palette off camera so we can do the male's bundle on camera and see how that goes. And I might include that footage in when I do the bigger palette against male's palette as well as a double feature. But I'll be right back, girl. Okay? Okay. So we all win this time. Okay, so here's the look we did with Natasha's palette. I did take one shade from male's palette just because I didn't have a shade to dust into my crease that I felt like would cover up the rest of the eyeshadow primer. So I took this shade right here. Let's see what the name of it is. I don't feel like pulling up the picture, and since it's sitting right here, ooh, nice save. It's Shade Relax. But the shades we're actually going to use on the lid to match these are Beyond. So this is Beyond, Peyton's Puppy, and Blush are what we're going to use to recreate the look that we have from the Natasha Denona palette. So the swatch is in the front of Natasha Denona, so y'all know how it goes. Natasha, Sydney, Natasha, Sydney, Natasha, Sydney. So that's how we going. So I'm going to start off with the shade that I told you I did, just so we can cover up all the eyeshadow primer here. Y'all know I'm not going to get my birthday video uploaded in time, unless I turn on my Wi-Fi and upload it here on my computer. But I don't want to log out of my work email just to do that and then have to log back in at home and do that whole thing. So it's just going to be up late along with the picture, but you know, it's better late than never. Because I still got to drive half an hour to get home. I swear, I always try to make a schedule for myself and I always end up being behind. I be getting so annoyed with myself, but at the same time, like, you know, I'm on vacation this week, so I need to stop trying to put pressure on myself and rushing myself. I'm just trying to get as much content made as possible since I actually am relaxed and, you know, in the mindset to do so. Anyway, let's start off with the shade Beyond. That's the first one. That's the one that matches the one in the Natasha Denona Mini Retro. Remember, we are using the Mini Retro. My actual retro isn't supposed to show it till Friday from UPS. At the latest Thursday, I'm hoping, because I'm hoping it comes Thursday and then y'all can see the video Friday, because I know other creators already have those open, but I wasn't paying express shipping. So I was like, I got enough other content of newer things and things that you all actually asked to see, to where I didn't feel like I necessarily need to rush for once, which I'm happy about, because that means y'all interested in the type of content I try to come up with, be unique on my own. Even though I just try to come up with a lot of ways to save you money, but I figure in these times and inflation and all that, you can appreciate it, which is why you're tuning in and watching. Because if you got a palette, something to another palette, why buy this palette? But if you want to support Mel's family after her passing, I definitely think it's a good idea. I just want to show you what the difference in tones are and things of that nature, because I was going to support 100% for sure. So that's what it looks like. As you can see, I feel like Mel's is giving us more depth, and it's giving more green, and it's more favorable on people my skin tone. I actually want to let people my skin tone know too that this might be a better option for you as opposed to Natasha's palette, which is another reason I bought the bundle, because I was like, if I can show the people that look like me that we don't need both, and the City Grace one costs just as much as Mel's, as Natasha's, and you get an extra set, then you might as well. So now we're gonna go into the shade Peyton's Puppy. That's the one that we said we're gonna put on lid, or I told y'all I was gonna put on lid to match the Natasha one. I feel like the Natasha one might be a little bit brighter. I feel like this one's giving a little more depth than I expected it to, but maybe not. Now that I'm patting it on, I'm feeling like they're starting to look similar. You all can tell me when I get done though what you think. And remember, you will see the swatches from this palette alongside the mini retro in the Natasha Denona retro palette, so you can have an idea of these and that. And then I'll swatch this palette as well for those who want to see it, so you don't have to worry about there putting swatches for once. You know, I don't really do swatches, but you know, if I help Mel's family get people to buy her version of this palette as opposed to Natasha Denona, who has plenty of money, then I'm all for it. That's the one time I can, you know, get over me not liking swatches and do it for the greater good. So that's why I made sure I did swatches in this one, so you could see that Mel's version might be more friendly to our skin tone. If you're my skin tone, as you can see, this shade is a little darker than that shade. I did have to build this one up quite a bit as well, and I don't feel like I had to build up Mel's as much as I had to build up this one to get the pigmentation that I got. Not to mention you don't have a crease shade to transition into if you use the mini retro. So just things to keep in mind for people my skin tone. Now we're going to go into the shade Blushed and pop that in the inner corner. So here is what both of it looks like when you zoom it all out. We can talk about my thoughts. So I like each palette for different reasons. I like Mel's because I feel like you get more value for the price, because her bundle is 60 bucks, and then you can use someone's code. Like for example, I feel like Karen has a code with them. I believe hers is Cage Makeup. I know the Fancy Face has one, and it's Fancy Face, and you can use her code. You can also pick up her palette, random side note, but I feel like Mel's palette is a great alternative for people who like more neutral-ish colors and like some deeper colors and variety. I feel like she gave you a lot more transition shades than Natasha's might. Again, we haven't put them side by side yet, but I can't tell. But like, if you just rather support a small-owned business and you love Mel Thompson just like I do, you might want to go ahead and get this one. However, if you're finding Natasha and you were able to score it on the last day of the sale, you were Rouge and you got it for about the same price as this one, then I am mad at you, sis. If that's what you prefer, then do you. But I will be comparing both of these later on. I just shot this video for right now just to give y'all an idea, if you already had the mini retro, on your thoughts and let you know how I felt and how I saw it. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are diamonds. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I like both for different reasons, like I said early on, so I figured I didn't need to reiterate. Be blessed, girl. Bye.